Welcome to the SMB Community Podcast with hosts Amy Babinchek, James Kernan, and Carl Polachek. Produced by Kernan Consulting and for the international MSP community. We are dedicated to making every IT professional a successful IT professional. Hey everybody, welcome back to the SMB Community Podcast. This is James Kernan with Kernan Consulting. And it is me today running solo. So we've got an exciting lineup for you. I got a lot of things to cover, so I am going to just dive right into it. The question of the week that actually came in, we got some really good ones, but the one we'll go with today is, should you offer vCISO services with your security offering? Obviously, you need to have a security offering to, really to offer something like this, and you really need to have the skill set. So that's kind of key point number one. Most of the clients that I work with or have worked with do offer some type of vCISO services or advisory role as part of their stack, their cybersecurity stack. And it's an add-on, not something that's automatically included in your managed service offering. So that would be point number two. And then what that looks like is very different. I mean, there's all sorts of different ways that you could offer advisory services. It could be weekly meetings. It could be monthly budgets. Obviously, that person should be involved in all the security discussions and strategy going on in the organization. So again, it's more of something that you would put hours towards your offering every month. But it really depends on what the client demand is, depends on what tools and skill set you have in-house, and your ability really to deliver that. But I would say yes, if you've got the skill set and the tools, you do want to offer those types of services because it's a big seller and it's really high demand right now, just across the board in North America for sure, but also what I'm seeing with other clients internationally. So great question. Love to hear more of your feedback on that. If you're offering CISO, virtual CISO services, what does that offering look like? And any questions that you have, send it in to james@kernanconsulting.com, and we'd love to hear from you. So I also have an interview set up with Charlene Ignacio, and Charlene and I discuss M&A trends in the channel. So this week's 5 Minutes with a Smart Person is going to be with Charlene Ignacio of Fornix.
Hey guys, I know that you are thinking the same way that James and I think. It's Friday. You are just busy as you could be because it was a holiday, right? Mondays are the death of businesses sometimes on Mondays. It's such a pain. Hey James, so good to be here with you.
Yep, good to be with you, Charlene. Good to see you again.
Oh, it's good to see you again. Guys, this topic that comes up today is literally from conversations that we've had from MSPs asking us about, hey, I want to register for the event, Char, but here's my hang up. And so today, James and I are going to talk about this because why M&A planning? Why does this event make sense for you to attend? Because it's like a business plan. And if you're not running a real business, then don't come. But if you're running a real business that you want profit, you want the ability to make decisions and have power and get funding when you need it and not having to be just cash poor, this workshop is for you. James does this with his eyes closed, guys.
Well, I plan on having my eyes open for the record, but thank you for that anyway.
You see, this is why I love James, because he's like, sure, I got to keep my eyes. No, you could totally do this. Like, you can just tell them and preach to them. So James, why? Why do they do this? Why do they keep their eyes so down in the weeds when they forget the reality is?
It's the fear of the unknown. People don't know what they don't know. And when you don't know how to do something, you avoid it. You don't want to dive into it, but this is a great learning opportunity. And Charlene, I tell you, I really love the topic of today's show because buying or selling a business, you need a strategy, and it's all about strategic planning. And you've heard me say this before, right. Your exit plan is always the missing chapter in everybody's business plan. You have ideas of hey, I want to start my business and we're going to be the best at this in the marketplace. We're going to be, the best thing since peanut butter and jelly for, cybersecurity or for hosting, but that's it. Then they don't, where are you going to take the business, and how are you going to get to that point? Is it growth by acquisition? That's what I did. I've been involved in multiple acquisitions, to go from 30 million to 300 million. You can do it organically, but you also need, and it's a great strategy to have growth by acquisition.
Right.
But then one day you need a succession plan. One day you need an exit strategy. And what does that look like? So it absolutely is part of your business plan.
Totally. Now, here's a question, and I think about the core principles in building a business, but more importantly, why an M&A advisor comes in and says, hey, I want to buy your business. James, let's talk about the sales side of it, because I think a lot of people shy away from talking about money.
Yeah, it's to me, it's kind of like a real estate agent. And you know what? Gosh, the market's hot. I think I can sell my house myself. And then you go through the process, and yeah, you probably could, but I guarantee you're leaving money on the table and you're exposing yourself to enormous risk.
Right.
And
totally.
if you don't do it right, or you don't negotiate things correctly, then you're in big trouble. And like a real estate transaction, buying or selling a business is even a bigger transaction, has enormous risk associated with it. And you need people that have been there, done that successfully in your corner, defending you and fighting for you. So I absolutely would highly recommend, to work with an advisor and a broker and someone that's been through it. And it's not just knowing what to do and who to talk to and the strategy and what to say to get the best deal or to maximize the deal. But, it is risk avoidance. And Charlene, you and I have talked about this too, but if you're selling a business, and I've worked with lots of people selling their business. I mean, I've been through just 6 transactions just this year alone.
Yes.
Several of them, more and more, it seems like I'm working with people selling their business, right? It's super emotional. They're selling their baby and they really care. They need to find the right fit, a strategic buyer to take what you worked your tail off and make it bigger and better. You want a career, a happy career path for all your employees that have worked so hard for you. That's what most people want. They don't want a business picked apart and butchered. So, it's very emotional as well. And you want someone that knows those emotions and can be empathetic to that, but bring you through to, close the deal and succeed.
Well, the other side of it, besides guys, profitability and knowing your numbers, the second is your agreements. A lot of people, James, I can't tell you how many times you have talked to people saying, what is your MSA look like, right? Is it a transactional 1 by month, or is it a 3-year, 2-year? I mean, you talk to them at the workshop on how they need to structure their agreements.
Yeah. The agreements are critical. There's a lot of do's and don'ts that you need to have in your agreements. And the one thing I'll say, there's a team of people that will actually go in on your behalf. I don't know everything. I can help you with most everything, but Kernan Consulting, we're very resourceful. So you need a banking finance contact, right? You need a CPA that knows, taxes inside and out around mergers and acquisitions. And you need a strong, not just a corporate contract attorney, but someone with experience on acquisitions.
Right.
Okay. Totally. There's huge risk that you're exposing to. So, all those things are important. And I've worked with lots of smart people. We've got lots of resources and we've templatized a lot of that blueprint process for you. So we can get you, 95% to where you need to be. So when you do talk to your attorney or your CPA, for example, you're not going to spend a fortune with them, but you need them in your corner for sure.
Well, guys, here's the thing. I just recently went through a business that was for sale. They said, hey, Char, our business is for sale. So I asked for 3 things. The P&L. I wanted to do the due diligence. And last but not least, guys, I asked, so what are your financials really look like? And it was kind of funny because 2 out of the 3 they didn't want to give to me. And I said, but you're asking this amount. How do you think I'm going to do if I don't know the whole picture of your business?
Yeah.
And what was really hard, James, was just that small exercise of asking exactly what I needed to know so that I could make that decision. If you can't do that, guys, the M&A or the person trying to come and buy, or even the person you're selling to, is going to think that something's wrong immediately.
Right.
And you want to avoid that at all costs, because his agreements weren't in place. He didn't have any contractual things that I could count on or leverage as kind of like, hey, if I buy the business, am I assuming these issues, or am I going to have to deal with them when I buy the business?
Yeah.
That was really hard.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. It reminds me, at Kernan Consulting, we do a lot of professional sales training as well. In a quote that I frequently say is, you build credibility with the questions that you ask, not the answers you give. Okay. With the questions that you ask. And I frequently hear from people, it's like, well, that's a great question. Nobody's ever asked me that before. And because I look at it from different angles, and that's really important. And you also want to be precise, just like Charlene's example, where you just want to cut to the chase and, hey, here are the things I need. And in order for us to do evaluation and understand the opportunity. So I agree with you. All right. So we got a couple other hot topics I want to dig into today. It's kind of interesting. A lot of channel news and then international things going on. But just kind of a quick update. It looks like Chris Day, the original founder of ScalePad, is stepping back in as CEO. Dan Wensley is remaining as a shareholder and advisor. He was the old CEO, but it looks like Chris Day is stepping back in to the day-to-day role as CEO at ScalePad. So that's kind of some industry news. And there was something else that actually the tech news with Dave Sobel, there was an interesting article up there, and I encourage you to check it out. There was an IBM study that reveals a sharp decline in confidence in IT departments. And I thought that was interesting. That headline caught my eye, and I dug into that a little bit more, and it was interesting. But there was an IBM study on business leaders and business owners, and it does appear that the confidence level has gone down significantly over the past 10 years. They reported out 10 years ago, confidence was up about 69% in their IT department, meaning internal IT, their strategy, what they're doing to protect themselves, back up their data, and prepare for growth. And now only 47% is considering their IT organization as effective. Okay. So I thought that was really interesting as well. To me, what that tells us is there's a huge opportunity for you. Okay. There's more of an advisory consulting role available because the consumer confidence is going down, that their internal IT department can't cover everything. So the majority of business owners now, again, this is an opportunity. So back to what the question of the day was regarding offering vCISO services, obviously there's a demand. There's an increased demand, not just for security, but overall technology strategy. So I think that's a great opportunity for everybody. So make sure you pay close attention to that and offer that to your clientele. Okay. Offer that to your clientele. So that was a cool article. There's another couple things here that were in the news I thought was kind of interesting. The markets, of course, have gone up and down. I actually talked to a economic advisor, and the stock markets have kind of gone up and down, but primarily down here in September. And he said, well, James, trend-wise, I want to remind everybody that September during an election year historically is bad for the markets. Okay. It's like, oh, gee, thanks for telling us now. But historically, that is true. So it will be a rocky September here for the stock markets. But NVIDIA really was what jumped out at me. They've kind of been the doll of the chip manufacturing with just a huge, enormous market cap. And they lost almost 10% of its value, the market cap value, just in one day, Tuesday of last week. So it will be interesting to see how they rebound, if at all. But it, could be, most financial advisors, when you ask them a question like that, they'll say, well, gee, it's a great time to buy. But I'm not so sure. I'm a little nervous about them, but we'll see how that kind of pans out. So keep your eye out on the stock market, specifically on NVIDIA. So that's interesting. And then the last thing I wanted to bring up as well is the Microsoft end of life. We've talked about that a couple times in the news here during the SMB Community Podcast. But make sure that you are communicating to your clients that the Windows 10 is end of life October of 2025. So theoretically, we're almost 12 months away from that now. But obviously, these things take time to migrate from 10 to 11. It's an opportunity maybe to replace some hardware or upgrade some systems. But hopefully you can get some upgrade business. But I would start talking to your clients now, for sure in Q4. Make that part of your maybe monthly or quarterly newsletters. Make sure you make it part of your QBR discussions with your customers. And it's a great thing to talk about to prospects as well. And, it would be great if they heard this news from you first and maybe not their incumbent MSP or competitive MSP. Okay. So make sure that news is coming from you. I think it's noteworthy, and we should be ahead of the curve by doing it that way. Okay. All right. So those are kind of the hot topics I wanted to cover today. There were some interesting things going on in the channel, a lot of M&A activity, and then there's also a continued buzz happening regarding AI and sales and marketing and some new tools and so forth. But I'll report more on that next week. We've got some interesting strategic partners that we've been talking to and interviewing. Roost on the AI side, in automation side, Roost, REWST. Don't know if you've heard of that technology. Might be something to check out. That's an up-and-comer in the channel for repeatable processes. That's a great tool in your help desk to bring down man hours and replace it with automation. Things like onboarding clients. I've got several of my clients that I work with that are now using and being onboarded by Roost right now as we speak. So I'll learn more about that as that continues. So check out roost.com. It's an interesting tool. I think it might be roost.ai. So we'll drop that up in the show notes. But that looks like it's it for me news-wise today. We've got some upcoming events want you to pay close attention to. If any of you are interested in mergers and acquisitions, we've got a merger M&A workshop Wednesday, September 25th at the Hyatt downtown Denver. On September 25th, it's a half-day workshop. Just message me if you want to learn more about that, james@kernanconsulting.com. And then we've got a Mastermind Live event, which is in Denver that Thursday, Friday, September 26th and 27th. Looking forward to that. And then October 17th and 18th, we've got another event that I'm speaking at, ironically on M&A, but that's going to be the SMB Tech Fest in Irvine, California. So looking forward to getting out into the sunshine in California on October 17th and 18th. You can register for that event at smbtechfest.com and hope to see everybody there. All right, gang, that's it for today. I'm signing out, and we'd love to hear from you. So reach out to me at james@kernanconsulting.com or just submit any requests through the smbcommunitypodcast.com website. We'd love to hear from you and help you be more successful. All right, until next time, take care.